All right, so let's get right into it. Down on the tropical island of Hainan, China has kicked off a really monumental experiment. So, what's the goal? Well, it's to create the world's largest free trade port. And officials are calling it a substantial leap in the country's whole economic opening.
But, there's this huge question mark hanging over this entire grand plan. See, Hainan, it has this long history of really ambitious projects that just kind of fizzle out, never really impressing anyone beyond its gorgeous beaches. So you've got to ask, is this time finally going to be different? Are we watching the birth of a new Hong Kong? Or is this just another false start?
So, let's zoom out for a second. What's the big picture here? Well, from Beijing's point of view, the Hainan Free Trade Port is this massive, strategic bet on openness. It's a way of signaling to the whole world that, yep, China is still reforming and it is absolutely ready for business. Now, this is where things get kind of weird. This slide really shows you the core paradox of Hainan. I mean, look at the size of the place. It's enormous, 30 times bigger than Hong Kong. But then you look at its economic output and it's just a tiny fraction of a powerhouse like Shenzhen. Heck, its GDP per person is actually lower than the national average. It's like this giant that punches way, way below its economic weight. And this economic lag, it's not a new problem at all. To really get why some people are so skeptical about this new plan, we have to dig into Hainan's long and often pretty troubled history of unfulfilled potential. For centuries, Hainan was just a backwater. I mean, way back in Imperial China, it was literally the island where they sent disgraced politicians into exile. Then you fast forward to 1984, and an early attempt at opening up just explodes into a massive profiteering scandal. Even after becoming China's largest special economic zone in 1988, it just saw these crazy investment frenzies followed by huge property busts. And today, it's still lagging behind the other SEZs. So yeah, that history, it's built a reputation that is really hard to shake.
Okay, so with all that historical baggage in mind, you're probably asking, what exactly makes this new plan so different? Let's break down the actual policies that are supposed to finally break that cycle and unlock the island's true potential.
The absolute centerpiece of the strategy is this dramatic cut in tariffs. Get this, a staggering 74% of all taxable import categories can now come into Hainan with zero levies. We're not talking about a minor adjustment here. This is a fundamental shift, and it's designed to turn the island into a magnet for goods. And here is the really clever part. This is a key incentive for businesses. See, it's not just about importing things to Hainan. The real carrot they're dangling is this. If a company processes those tariff-free goods on the island, adding at least 30% to their value, they can then ship the finished product to the huge mainland market, also tariff-free. It's a powerful lure for manufacturing, with goods shipping out from ports just like the one you're seeing in this real picture from the capital, Haikou. The plan also includes some really aggressive tax cuts to attract both companies and skilled people. As you can see right here, the corporate tax rate in key sectors gets slashed to just 15%. Compare that to 35% on the mainland. And for high earners, personal income tax is capped at 15% too, a huge drop from the mainland's 45%. That's a ton of money back in your pocket. And believe me, the perks do not stop there. Hainan now offers visa-free travel for citizens from 86 countries. They're promising it'll be easier to move capital across borders, and they're even piloting freer internet access. Yeah, letting some users get on sites that are normally blocked in China, like Google and X. On top of all that, it now has the shortest list in the entire country of business sectors that are off-limits to foreign investors. So the plan is definitely ambitious, but what's the reality on the ground? Let's take a look at the early signs of success and also the pretty significant hurdles that are getting in the way as this grand hope starts meeting reality. The good news is some major companies are definitely buying in. The Chinese beverage giant Mixu has already opened a factory there to process tariff-free coffee beans, and Swire Pacific, a major bottler for Coca-Cola, is in the middle of building a new plant to serve the China market. These are real, tangible signs of investment. Another really promising area is medical tourism. Hainan has created this special zone called Boyo Hope City. Basically, it's a place where private hospitals can use advanced drugs and medical devices that are approved overseas but aren't available yet in the rest of China. It's a totally unique draw, and it attracted over 9,300 foreign patients just last year. But, and this is a big but, the challenges are pretty significant.
The island just doesn't have a deep pool of skilled local talent, and its supply chains are still really underdeveloped. They're finding it difficult to recruit top workers from the mainland to move there. And for some foreign executives, the math just doesn't add up yet. As one auto executive put it pretty bluntly, the business case is just not there. Ouch.
And this really brings us to the core tension of the whole Hainan story. It is very much an experiment in progress, and experts who are watching this closely have two very different ways of looking at its future. First, you've got the optimistic view from Beijing, and it's captured perfectly by this government advisor, Li Daokui. He sees Hainan as the youngest and bravest student who's been given permission to swim in the deep water. The idea is that the rest of China, the whole class, is watching to see what lessons can be learned from this really high-stakes test.
But then you have the on-the-ground perspective from Shi Fulin, who's been a reformer on the island for a long time. He uses this great local metaphor. He says during a cold snap, you'll see people wearing a warm down jacket up top, but they're still wearing their flip-flops down below. His crucial point is, Hainan has a lot of cultural inertia. Changing old habits, he says, is a long, difficult process.
And that leaves us with the final, defining question, doesn't it? As China pushes its bravest student into the deep water of global trade, will Hainan's deep-seated inertia pull it under? Or will it finally learn to swim, transforming itself and maybe even charting a new course for the entire country? The world is definitely watching.